What's up everyone, Sag here, and today I'm going to be showing you the 3 best decks with Zabu that you can make right now. Well, I mean if you have the cards for it. Also, this is only going over the cards that I do have, so these are the 3 best decks that I could currently make with Zabu, in my opinion. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. So, the first one we have is Zabu Control. This is a control type of deck. Um, Clearly, we're running a lot of 4s because Zabu, if you don't know, ongoing makes your 4 cost cards cost 2 less, no less than 1. And the deck's premise, actually, we don't need. I'm going to go over each of the decks in their own right, and we're going to go over some games there. So maybe I'll talk about them then. Then we have Zabu ongoing, like the name's to be determined, but it's clearly just an ongoing type of deck. Basically, all the decent 4-cost ongoings that I have. I also have Super Scroll, so other people playing Zabu, I get to double up on Zabu potentially, and a lot of other ongoing stuff. Super Scroll feels really, really good in the deck. And then, of course, we've got the powerhouse at the end with Spectrum. And then we have my favorite of the 3 decks, which is actually Zabu Hando Sore. So, of course, Hando Sore, you want to fill your hand with for Devil Dinosaur. I actually recently got Agent Coulson, so that's why I decided to make this deck. And honestly, it's really fun. I really like it. So let's go over all 3 of the decks and share some good games that I got. Also, at the end of the video, I'm going to be having honorable mentions for cards that I don't have, and a deck that I basically already have, but kind of just threw Zabu into. Alright, I'm doing things a little differently than I normally do, so I've already played the games. I'm just going to talk over them and talk about the decks individually, like their strengths and weaknesses. So I'm also including a little tiny deck list over there in the sort of middle right of the screen. So you can see Zabu Control there. We've got all the little cards. They're so cute. This game also shows perfectly how the deck is supposed to operate. Turn 3, you want to be able to play Zabu almost always because you're running so many 4s in the deck that if you don't play anything on turn 3, you're going to feel really bad. That's why we also include Iceman and Armor. Armor for destroy decks. Unfortunately, we didn't get it against this guy, but it didn't matter. And then Iceman is just really, really annoying. So here on turn 4, we can actually play 2 4s. Rock Slide and SpiderMan, Jessica Jones, those are all pretty decent 4s to play on 4. Normally you want to wait for like Shang-Chi or Enchantress till the last turn to fake them out, sort of. But here we get Rock Slide off and Spider-Man. I love playing Spider-Man on 4 if I have Absorbing Man on 5, because then they're completely locked out of that lane, which is really, really good. Instead, we actually don't do that because Sarah instead, we have Arrow, and this also makes all of our 4s cost 1. Therefore, I could play Arrow and 2 4s on the last turn, which is absolutely insane. The value here is incredible. Also, Fisk Tower comes in clutch, super clutch. Actually, I guess it didn't matter that much, but it works really, really well with Arrow when it works. This guy immediately snapped on me too. I don't know if he's a bot, but he definitely thought he was going to win. But here, just clean up Arrow, and if that wasn't enough, then I have double Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi 1 here, takes that out, and then Absorbing Man copy Shang-Chi, takes everything out on his board. He loses 8 cubes and doesn't have a single thing on board. Absolutely amazing game. And that is the deck working like exactly how it should. And we didn't even have a turn 1 or turn 2 play, which definitely happens. These are just like the best games that I had, or like the funniest. Of course, showing off the deck working exactly how it should. This one, again, we don't get like too incredibly lucky. Like we don't get our turn 1 or turn 2 play again, but luckily we have Zabu on 3, which is arguably the most important thing to have. You could technically run a 6 in this deck, or Darkhawk, like if you had Darkhawk, this he goes in the deck immediately, and then you swap out Iceman for Korg. It's beautiful, absolutely divine. This is really really funny here. So kamar-taj with Rock Slide, we basically do the exact same thing as last game. Rock Slide into Spider-Man on turn 4. And this time we have kamar-taj though, so Rock Slide gets 4 rocks into his deck, and then he plays Wong only to be locked out immediately with my Spider-Man. So after this, it's going to be pretty unfortunate. I think in between that round, I snapped because I was so confident. Seeing Lockjaw on board, being able to put Rock Slide out there, I knew that it would be very, very good. And then we're just going to Absorbing Man the Spider-Man because we definitely don't ever want him to play anything on kamar-taj. And then we will save Shang-Chi and Enchantress for the last turn potentially because I think they're the greatest to save for the last turn. But yeah, you could run a 6, like you could run what's her name, America Chavez, just to have a better chance of drawing Zabu. He Colleen Wings on his Lockjaw space into, you guessed it, a rock, and then he blades, and it gets, you guessed it, another rock. So after that, I mean, how do you stay in this game? How do you stay in this game? You don't. You definitely retreat, and he does the right thing and retreats. And this last game that I have to show you for Zabu control is actually not having Zabu, not having anything. We don't have a turn 1 or a turn 2 play. I don't even think we have a turn 3 play. We're just going to watch our opponent take forever with his turn. So this is a little edited down because, oh my god, he took so long. Making very, very simple plays, just like passing. I don't think he was a bot, but I don't know. He made some bot-like plays, I tell you that. But yeah, we do nothing. First 3 turns, nothing. We can't do anything. You could maybe add like another 3 or another 2, maybe to like up your chances of playing something, but this proves that you don't really need to play anything. Fisk Tower, of course, helps us out immensely. Whenever Fisk Tower is on board, you probably want to try to use Arrow with it, just because it's going to be super powerful. Spider-Manning Fisk Tower means that they cannot play anything on turn 6 on Fisk Tower, and therefore they have to play it somewhere else, and then you always are able to move it with Arrow. He makes a huge mistake playing Ironheart on the board, or like on that location where he already had everything. So that was a little weird. I snap here because it's free, like free Arrow. Like there's no way that he beats me, I don't think. Because I flip first as well, so he doesn't even get to see what, we don't get to even see what his card is. It just poof, bye-bye. And that's an easy win. But yeah, on to the next deck. Alright, the next deck we're looking at is Zabu Ongoing. So I think this deck is slightly worse, but it is still really fun. I don't think it would survive very well at Infinite or like even Omega or Galactic, but for, you know, Platinum, Diamond, I think it's doable. The deck is still sort of control-ish, especially since you are running stuff like Super Scroll, you're running Sandman. Sandman, I think, is really important to the deck because your main premise for here is sort of stopping those really nasty combo decks that like to blow everything out on like turn 6 or turn 7, depending if they played Magic or not. And then you yourself have your own little combo if you're able to, say, Invisible Woman, Wong, and Spectrum on the last turn. And then on turn 5, say you played Sandman and Super Scroll. I mean, you can play Sandman and literally anything else. You could even, you know, turn 4 into Wong, Mystique. Or sorry, turn 4 into Wong and say, I don't know, anything else. Like you played Zabu 3. Turn 4, Wong, something else. Turn 5, Mystique into Sandman, and then turn 6 into Spectrum, and you're just going to be doing absolutely insane. Also, Super Scroll, of course, works really, really well against anything that has ongoing. As you can see here, we steal his Zabu, we steal Ant-Man, we steal Blue Marvel, and we even steal Kazar, so it's going to be really hard for any other ongoing decks to beat me. Of course, if you don't have Super Scroll, which you might not because it is a pool 5 card, you can replace it for, you know, I would say anything else. Super Scroll is kind of integral to the deck, though. Um, because so many other people are running Zabu. That's why I think the deck is working so well, because other people are running a lot of ongoing stuff right now. I think Spectrum has a really big problem, as like Spectrum isn't that strong. Like if you compare it to Silver Surfer, Spectrum just is not doing enough. It's six. It costs six first of all. It's only 5 power and it only gives +2 to your ongoings. Whereas Silver Surfer, you just throw your entire deck full of threes, and then you're getting +3. That's already one more than Spectrum, but you also get to play another card. So kind of hard to beat that. However, with the introduction of Zabu, you actually can play more powerful um, 4 cost ongoings, which is very important. Here I kind of mess up. This whole game I kind of mess up, but it just goes to show you how strong Sandman is against a combo decks. Because I don't know what he's playing. He might be playing Silver Surfer combo, or I don't know, could maybe be Patriot, depending. And both of those decks really like to combo out on turn 6. So here, I played Invisible Woman Wong in the wrong spot because Starlight Citadel blocks me from playing Spectrum there, and to put double damage, Goose was there in the first place, so I couldn't play Spectrum there anyways. So I just use Mystique to copy Omega Red, which also was a mistake because I should have just played Warpath. It's 5 power. Like, am I really going to get over 10 power on Citadel? Like, I don't think so. But even despite all of that, he plays Sarah, expecting to be able to drop his combo, but he can't because I dropped Sandman. So he's only able to play one thing, and I can play something huge like Spectrum to just blow out his Mr. Fantastic. And with this, I actually win on all 3 lanes. Really low power game, but the control elements of Sandman, being able to play actually a decent number of ongoing cards, helps it out immensely. So for the final game here, again, just kind of showcasing, I mean, the deck. There's not really too much to say. And it follows the same sort of principle. We are going against someone who has like a different type of Zabu deck. He's got a lot of the 4s that I don't have, that I wish I did have, like Crossbones. Drax would probably still be pretty good. I mean, like a 2-cost Drax seems pretty damn good to me. 4-cost Drax, though, I don't know about that. We do get to see a bar Sinister here, and that's always really, really nice when you have Super Scroll or Spectrum, because they can really start to add up. Here, I should have just played Super Scroll, because then I get his Zabu anyways. But I thought maybe like I could sneak out Super Scroll if he plays like, I don't know, an Iron Man or some other ongoing thing that could have been good. He plays Enchantress though, which completely negates 2 of my ongoings. This means, I used to not know this, but Enchantress means that those 2 cards do not have ongoing anymore, which means Spectrum will not buff them. That is very important to keep in mind. So Enchantress will shit all over you. Let's just make that clear. You've got a lot of ongoing. I think every single card is ongoing. This deck worked out, I would say, 50-55% of the time. It just depends on if you can get enough things out. Sometimes you just can't get enough out. Maybe, you could add Ant-Man in here. Maybe just another thing to get ongoing out. Because if you don't have Zabu, you're going to be kind of heavy on the hand. And here we just play Spectrum. Sandman, again, he won't be able to play many things. And I think Spectrum will just be enough to, again, blow him out of the water. We get +8 on each one of our ongoing cards that still has ongoing. And I'm fine with losing Bar Sinister because I figured that I would be able to win this way. However, if he would have just played on Atlantis, he would have beat me. So, got to keep that in mind as well. And we've saved the best for last with Zabu Hando Sore. So I think this is my favorite to play, just because I never really liked playing Devil Dinosaur anyways, because it was so incredibly powerful. But we're putting like new control elements in here. I have Mystique, I have Agent Coulson, and it all just feels like it works really, really well together. So we use Quinjet plus Zabu to get even cheaper 4s out of our opponents and out of cards that we get. So potentially we can get a 4 from Cable. With so many other people playing Zabu, we're bound to pick up some 4s that way. We will guarantee pick up a 4 from Agent Coulson, which not only will cost, the 4 will not only cost 1, but the 5 will also cost 4 because of Quinjet. And then we also run Moon Girl. I feel like Moon Girl doesn't really come too much into play just because your hand is normally overloaded at most points. So you'd only want to use Moon Girl in certain situations when you want to like beef up your hand, say like last turn for your Devil Dinosaur, or maybe getting a bunch more power for your Collector, because we are running Collector. And overall, the curve for the deck is very, very nice because we have double 1, double 2, 3 3s, 4 4s, and 1 5. Now, you could, again, run something in the 6 slot, but, you know, I decided I don't really care. I was like, if I'm going to play a bunch of things on 6, I'd rather just play, like, as many 4s as I can on 6. So, like, White Queen, Shang-Chi, Absorbing Man, Moon Girl, just anything to bring more power into my hand. Potentially, you know, if you Devil Dinosaur on 5, potentially just play Mystique and like a 1 or a 4 or something like that. So you're basically running like double Dino in that aspect too. Here we actually got Miles Morales and Vision. I think Miles will always cost 1, even though you can sort of like make him cheaper by moving something. One of my original decks ran Miles, but it didn't actually work with Zabu the way that I wanted it to. So I ended up taking him out. Here he actually has nothing in his hand. I didn't even realize he had nothing in his hand. So White Queen into Absorbing Man doesn't actually refill my Devil Dino. You can see me check there. I was like, oh wait. Luckily though, we're just so strong here. He for some reason filled his middle section with rocks, and then at that point it didn't even matter. I think this deck is probably the best of the 3, if not, then second best, because clearly Zabu Control is just really, really strong. You being able to lock down the board, Control is a very, very strong aspect. I think this deck might be a bit more consistent. When I first started playing it, I think I won like 4 or 5 games in a row, and I was like, wow, that feels good, because I know that does not be happening a lot. However, again, we're at Platinum, so I have no idea how well these decks will do towards the top end, but in the middle end, they're all perfectly viable, and that's what I like. I like when you can just put together a bunch of random decks and make them viable. That's my favorite part of Marble Snap. That's my favorite part of deck building games in general, because I like to make a lot of random, fun, crazy decks. Now, are these decks any good? I would say they're all right. Like, I think this one is actually pretty good just because you run Devil Dino. And then Devil Dino in itself is very strong. And then you can run stuff like Quinjet, Mystique maybe, or you can Zabu Mystique. And then like all the cards that you get are like super cheap, you know, potentially even 0 cost. It can go pretty wild. You have a lot of different avenues to take. Here we absolutely destroy a Professor X player. I love to be able to do that. Agent Coulson feels really good if you don't have any plays. Then you just kind of play whatever you get. And it'll give you another 4, which is most likely another control tool. Here we got Enchantress. We won't need it here, but we could have used it potentially. Instead, Moon Girl is a much better option, as I'm going to fill my hand more, thus making Collector even bigger. We got Spectrum as our free thing, so Spectrum into Absorbing Man, since I have Quinjet and Zabu, the no-brainer there. But yeah, we play all of this, and he doesn't retreat. I was trying not to snap so much so people wouldn't retreat and I could get some games, because I feel like I was overwhelmingly winning, and they would just retreat before anything. And all he plays is an armor. So I guess he just was donating his 2 cubes to me. Didn't even play Destroyer. I guess he couldn't, so... not that it would have mattered. And into this final game here. So yeah, let me rank them. So I would say this one performed the best, for sure. And then the Zabu Control performed second best. However, I think I had more games played with Zabu Control, like on my phone and stuff, just not on my computer. And it felt amazing. Like, it really felt good. Even when you didn't have Zabu, This deck also feels really good if you don't have Zabu, you don't really need it. Being able to steal their cards, you get a lot of information with this deck, along with big power, which I think is why it's so consistent. And it just felt really, really nice. And then the ongoing deck, yeah, he did good too. He was fun, you know. I just think Spectrum is so weak. They need to buff Spectrum a little bit. I don't know how to make it +3 power, maybe to like at least be on par with Silver Surfer, which is half the cost. I don't know. And ongoings themselves aren't really like too powerful. I feel like it's much better just to run like Destroyer or something. Here again, we have Agent Coulson into a 4 and a 5. That 5 is Doc Ock, and I said, you know what? Let me pull Doc Ock out. We might be able to ruin any part of combo that he potentially has. Even though Sokovia did get rid of Silver Surfer in the beginning, I was like, let's just do it. Let's just pull the Doc Ock and see what happens. Here, he gets something. He gets a 3, so either Wolfsbane, Mystique, or Mr. Fantastic. Not too crazy stuff there, but he's not going to have any huge amount of burst here at the end. The only thing that I would think he could play is just like one big card, but knowing Silver Surfer decks, they don't really have one big card. At least here, though, I know for a fact he flips first, therefore double Shang-Chi is pretty likely to win me the game, as I'm also going to get rid of his Jessica Jones, putting me 1 point over him. So doing some calculations there to be able to sneak out this win. All he plays is Sarah, and in the middle, which is kind of weird. Why don't you just play it on... Oh, no, he can't play it on Big House, unfortunately. Yeah, like Maximus on the Big House would have been pretty good. And there, we're just able to clean up. So on to the honorable mentions and other decks. And we've got a couple of special mentions for some cards that I don't have, namely Darkhawk. So ongoing +2 power for each card in your opponent's deck. Darkhawk works really well with the Rock Brothers, so Rock Slide and Korg, adding cards into their deck. And then, you've got a couple other ways to kind of like control the board and whatnot, but Darkhawk works really well with Zabu, I'm sure, as well as Shuri. Another one, double the power of the next card you play. If you make Shuri a 2-cost card, that is insane. Of course, you could maybe do stuff, a couple things with Mr. Negative, but I don't really know if you don't really get it out any earlier, so I doubt that. Dracula, maybe you could do something with like Hell Cow and like a discard type of deck. But the other two that I wanted to mention for sure was Rescue, a 2-power, potentially 9, 2 energy, 9 power. I was like, what is the other word? 2 energy, 9 power card is incredible. And then Crossbones, a 2/8. If you've got some tempo in a lane, then you are just going to go crazy with these powerhouses. Unfortunately, I don't have them, or they probably would have been in some of the decks that you saw. And then the last deck we have here is my Zabu Surfer deck. So basically just the Wong Gambit deck, but I took Gambit out, added Zabu, and then added Absorbing Man. And what this means is that if you can play Zabu and Sarah, then your Wong and your Absorbing Man will both cost 1. Therefore, you can play Wong, Mystique, Silver Surfer, and Absorbing Man all in the last turn and just go absolutely nutty crazy with the combo. So let me know how you liked this style of video. It was definitely a lot longer to do, but I think it was worth it. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And you know what? Have a wonderful day.